a prepaid call from
Randall.
an inmate at the Virginia Department of Corrections, Red Onion State Prison. To accept this call, press 0.
My name is Randall Via. I'm currently serving 1,214 years for capital murder in Red Onion State Prison in the state of Virginia in the USA. Welcome to my podcast, Red Onion Randy. I hope you enjoy listening to me. Today, I'm going to discuss the topic of mental health. And the reason why I'm going to discuss this is, for the last couple of weeks, I've seen on television, or specifically the news, where they're discussing to whether to defund the police, whether to hire more police, whether to hire less police, but also hire at the same time more mental health workers to actually go out on calls with the police when they respond to a 911 call for help. And it's actually quite an interesting topic, and I can understand both sides of the debate. As someone who has dealt with some mental health issues, it's kind of a personal thing for me, and especially I'm in prison. I've been in prison since I was 11 years old. Now, for those of you who don't quite understand how that works, it means I got locked up when I was 11, and I did time in some juvenile facilities and so forth, but I didn't do it all the way straight through my teen years. I did it for, I think the first time I was locked up for like 2.5 years. And then I got out for a little while in a foster home for like 6 months. And then I got locked back up again. And then I did a stretch of time and I got out in another, a group home the second time. And I was only out for like 1 month then. And then I got locked back up again after that. And then I did a bunch of time, until I was 18, and I got released from juvenile prison, Beaumont, the last time at 18, and then I was out for like 6 months, and then I committed the capital murder, armed robbery, gun charges, and I got locked up as an adult at 19, and I've been in prison ever since. That entails a lot of stress and wear and tear on a person's mental psyche. Because this is all I've ever known. All I've ever known is violence. All I've ever known is hurt and pain. All I've ever known is misery and sadness and loneliness. And because it's in prison, because it's incarcerated, it's amplified 1,000 times more than something is amplified on the street. Like, the way y'all feel about something on the street, for someone in prison, it's worse. For someone with mental health, like legitimate mental health, it's so far amplified, it's out of the stratosphere. Okay, for example, my big issue is food. Because I grew up dirt poor. We literally had nothing, people. We barely had electricity. We had no toilets, no, stuff like that. Like, we had to go outside and use the bathroom in a hole in the ground. Me and my two brothers had to share the same bed. We had to share the same clothes. Like, we rarely ever got anything new. We were borderline starvation. I used to give my younger brother Jason, he used to sit in my lap, and I would feed him food from my own plate. He would eat his plate of food, and then I would give him half of mine, just so he wouldn't have to go hungry. I went hungry. That's the reason why I'm only 5'9" and 145 pounds now. And yeah, I've actually lost 5 pounds in the last month. Food is a really big thing for me because I grew up with nothing. And now that the trays up here are so bad, I can't eat it. Like, when I come out, matter of fact, this morning, literally this morning, I come out to get my breakfast tray in the pod. And there's 2 boiled eggs. There's barely a handful of grits on the tray and 2 pieces of really dried bread. I mean, just stale. I didn't even eat it. I went to peel one of the boiled eggs, and it barely left me with half of an egg because They don't know how to cook them right over there. They don't care. And I couldn't peel the egg, so I lost half my egg. And, like, I found myself just wanting to go over to that kitchen and just beat the living hell out of every single soul in that kitchen. Didn't care who it was. Like, that's how mad I got that I lost half of a boiled egg. You know, plus I didn't get my commissary last week. So I didn't have a bagel or, 2 packs of oatmeal to substitute my breakfast with. So, like, that half a boiled egg, like, when you have a mental problem, you can't help but think, man, they're doing this to me personally. They're doing this to me deliberately. And that makes you even madder. And, like, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy almost. Like, it feeds on itself. It's like the worm that eats its own tail. It always has something to eat because it just eats in a circle. That's how mental health affects you in here. And I've done my damnedest to fight against it. I've done my damnedest to recognize it, to find where am I weak at? Where am I strong at? Where do I have to keep my focus at? So those mental health issues in prison, those mental health questions that the public in the United States of America is raising, well, what do we do? Is the answer even more police officers than they currently have? Is the answer better training? Is the answer mental health professionals? Well, from someone who's actually lived it, from someone who has fought the police, from someone who has had the police drawing guns on them, I remember several times I was in Fairfax when I escaped from Elk Ridge in Goochland, Virginia, and I stole a Jeep Cherokee. And me and this dude named Dave, we drove up to the Fairfax Mall. And I remember one of the security guards there, he called on to us. And he started following us around and everything. And I got really paranoid. I got really freaked out. So I told Dave, and I'm like, yo, look, man, I'm gone. So I left. And I went out into the parking garage of the Fairfax Mall, and I got in the Jeep Cherokee that I'd stolen. And I don't know what made me do it. I don't know if it was the stress of the situation. I don't know if I was just simply mental or what was going on. I started doing donuts in the parking garage in the damn Jeep Cherokee. I started doing burnouts and everything and just acting a fool, just, I don't know why I did it. I just simply did it. I was a dumbass kid. That's all I can chalk it up to. And I guess somebody found out, they called the cops or whatnot. And so after I burned off steam, I went back in to get them. I'm like, yo, look, man, let's leave. Let's bounce. So they was like, all right, let's go. So we was walking out the mall. And when we come out, I'm not exaggerating, there was like 30 police officers there in a semicircle around the front doors of Fairfax Mall. You had like 2 ambulances and like 3 fire trucks were all there. And every single officer had a pistol or a shotgun pointed straight at me. So, and I stood there. And for some strange reason, it was sort of like a sense of calm. Like, you know what? It's over with. I'm about to die. Like, I'm about to be set free from my pain. I don't have to live this life no more. I don't have to be miserable no more. I don't have to be sad. I don't have to be hurt. I don't have to be lonely. I don't have to be rejected and abandoned and hated by everyone. And I felt free. Like, I wanted them in that moment to kill me. I wanted them to just put an end to me. And there was such a freedom to that. And that's why a lot of times guys wind up getting shot by cops, because it's freedom. When you die, that's it. Everything ceases. You no longer have thoughts. You no longer have feelings. You no longer have awareness. You are in the ground. People with mental health issues, we need that release. That's why we do the stupid stuff that we do, because we want to be free. We just anything to make that pain stop, to make that loneliness stop. I come to prison. And you can tell guys who have mental health issues, like it's crystal clear. I mean, you see it in their body language, you see it in their eyes, their behavior, the way they talk. I do the best that I can in here. There's actually a transgender person in the pod. I'm not going to say their name without permission. And this person is so confused. This person has mental health issues, and she recognizes that. And, we've actually had several long conversations about why she feels she's transgender, how she feels towards God, how she feels towards other people in the pod, how she feels towards herself. Like she sat there and told me she'll get in the mirror and like she'll start cussing herself out, calling herself, "You faggot, you disgusting whore. How can you be like this? What's wrong with you? Who do you think you are?" Like she starts cussing at herself. Like she gets so down and depressed. And that's the fact that I am a Christian. I don't believe in that because I've made the choice to believe in the Bible. And if the Bible says it, I ride with it. But at the same time, I'm not going to condemn someone or judge someone. I mean, people, let's face it, I've murdered someone because all he said is, "I don't think you will." So really, who in the hell am I to judge another person? And I try to have these conversations. I try to help. I try to be a positive influence, and I have been. The strange thing is, since I've been in the pod, and I've kind of talked to her. We don't talk every single day, but I always try to just stop by, fist bump with her. "Hey, how you doing? You good? You need anything?" And she's like, "Yeah," or she'll say no. I try to just show love to everyone in here because you have a lot of people in here that are dealing with these issues, and so when a person comes to prison, there is no help. Oh, they have mental health. As a matter of fact, we call them in prison, they're called QMHPs. And QMHP is an abbreviation for Qualified Mental Health Professional. And they're under the authority of an actual psychiatrist. The only thing they do, they don't really talk to you. They'll prescribe medication to you. The state of Virginia does not have the resources, or they just simply don't want to spend the resources on psychiatrists and, actual treatment and therapy and programs and so on and so forth to actually legitimately help mental health patients. I just did a year and a half in the Sam SIP pod, which is the mental health pod. That's where I came from before I came over here to level 5 population. They don't do anything. Like there's a few light conversations with someone, and there's a whole lot of pills. They'll hand you out pills freaking left and right, people. I mean, the pills, you can get some damn good pills. And the inmates over there rarely leave the cell because they are so doped up on pills, they don't know their own freaking name anymore. And that's the only help you're going to get from mental health problems in prison. Because there's just, and I understand why the state does it. I can't exactly blame the state for doing it. I guess at least they are doing something, because back in the day, they didn't do nothing for you. Nowadays, yeah, at least, they're giving you some medication in the hopes that it does kind of help you calm down mentally. Because when you're mental health, your mind is constantly racing, it's constantly moving. There's nothing you can do. You can't calm yourself. You can try breathing techniques. You can try exercise. When it starts to racing, it is so hard. It's so difficult to stop your mind from racing to all these thoughts. And then you got like crazy thoughts pop into your mind left and right, left and right, left and right. And it's something I have to be aware of, because there's times I've walked by someone and like, "You should rip this throat out." Like, whoa, hold up. Where the hell did that come from? And it's the vestiges of the mental health stuff that I dealt with as a child. Well, actually, I didn't deal with it as a child. I just suffered through it as a child. And, as I've grown older, I've, slowly but surely started to get a handle on myself. But very, very few guys in prison are equipped with the knowledge that they actually need help to begin with, because that's the thing about mental health. You don't realize that you have it. It's like a deception. When a person is deceived, they don't have a clue that they're deceived. A deceived person is literally the last person to know, the last person to see and understand the truth. And that's the same thing with mental health. We're the last ones to see. That's why it took me so long to get to where I'm at. That's why it took me into my 30s before I started realizing, hey, wait a minute, man, there's something wrong with me. Like, I need to take a look at myself. So the answer to that question is this. You have to hire more police. You have to give them better training, and you have to have mental health professionals with them. Now, obviously, you won't be able to have mental health professionals with every single squad car, but you can have it to where when they have an incident, where there is a suspected mental health patient, or when someone he's got a gun, he's got a hostage situation, or he's acting erratically and whatnot, the police can back off and then simply call in a mental health professional, someone who has experience in dealing with someone of erratic behavior, someone of mental health behavior. That's your answer. You can't, or you can. I mean, I guess it just depends on what type of society you want to be. You can show up with overwhelming force and put them in the grave and say, hey, good job, boys. We don't have to deal with them no more. Or you can get them help, because I am living proof that someone who has dealt with mental health issues, someone who still kind of deals with them, I'm doing my damnedest, people, to overcome all of my faults, all of my flaws, to be a better man. Y'all have no idea the thoughts that go through my head in here that are so good and bright and beautiful and wonderful. Like, they make me happy, because I don't want to just get out and focus on my own self, live life for myself. I want to go out and do things to help people. From seeing someone at the grocery store kind of struggling to load groceries in the back of their trunk, like, I've had fantasies about walking over there and just, hey, excuse me, let me help you real quick, and putting the groceries in the car and then closing the trunk for them. You have a nice day, and taking their cart and pushing it up to the front, and just like stuff like that to helping people who lost their homes to forest fires rebuild. Hopefully having money someday, enough money to where if I see someone in a broken down car, I'm like, hey, you know what, man? God loves you, man. Let's go get you a new vehicle. It probably ain't going to be some $60,000, $80,000 Mercedes, but hey, a new car is a car. I want to do things like that. And that's how I combat a lot of the darkness and stuff that I've had to deal with, because I focus on the positive now. You heard me earlier talk about the boiled egg incident. In that moment, I wanted to go over there and just beat the hell out of the kitchen workers. That's a real emotion. But understand something. Just because it is a real emotion, just because it's in that moment, doesn't mean I'm actually going to do that. I explained that and I shared that with you simply because sometimes you have those just wild, crazy thoughts that come out of nowhere like, wait a minute, what the hell? I'm sharing this with you. I'm trying to be as real and open and as honest as I can be. Just because that thought might pop up in my head doesn't mean I let it stay in my head, because I don't. Because as soon as I recognize that bad thought for what it is, I immediately stop. And I tell myself, no, man, I reject that. That ain't me no more. It's not worth it. I'm not doing stuff like that no more. I refuse to be that person. That's how I deal with those vestiges of mental health, those crazy thoughts. And they come less and less and less. The more work I do on myself, the less bad thoughts pop up in my head, the less anger issues I have. Like, I've gotten really, really good at controlling my anger. Yesterday morning, they brought a dude in from segregation, and he come up and he got on my phone. I walked up to him and said, "Hey, man, that's my phone, dude." And, man, no, I claimed this phone before I left the pod. Well, first of all, brother, you left the pod. I don't care what you claim, man. That doesn't work like that. When you leave the pod, when you get locked up, and then you come back, you have to start all over again. That's the way it works. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, well, look, man, you know what? I'm not using the phone right now, man. Go ahead. And I walked off. I could have stood there. I could have made it an issue. But I didn't, because I'm not doing those types of things anymore. I refuse to be that person. I have changed. I have spent a lot of time and effort and years of my life becoming a person who I like. I not only like myself, I love myself. I enjoy spending time with myself. I'm a good person now. I haven't always been that, but I am now. And I'm still getting better. So when you have crazy thoughts pop up into your head like that, don't let it get you down. Just refuse to think it. Change the channel in your mind. It's the same thing on television. If something pops up on TV that you don't want to see, you pick the remote up and you go to something else. Do the same thing with your thoughts. And if we can get mental health professionals in this country to start working with the police, to actually go into prisons, to go into jails, to go into crime-ridden communities, to go to the people in the scenes of crime that where you still have instances like that, and you can just talk to them and you can start teaching them, hey, look, it's okay that you're dealing with what you're dealing with. There's nothing wrong with what's going on with you. It's how you're responding to it that needs a little bit of tweaking. So take the thoughts and change the channel. Don't allow yourself to focus on your anger. Don't allow your anger to control your life. It's okay to be angry. It's just not okay to make bad decisions when you're angry. Your anger doesn't give you the right to do what you want to do. It doesn't give you the right to lash out and hurt someone. Like, these are the things that need to be taught, and these are the things that I'm in here doing to these young guys. To the guys who have mental health issues, to the guys who don't have mental health issues, they're just simply young and inexperienced. Like, I was having a conversation on the rec yard yesterday, and that's what I was doing. There was a guy out there whose cellie, and, the CO told him to step out the cell, and he just woke up. And his cellie said, man, whenever he wakes up, he's always mad. And I'm like, well, I get that. I understand that. I'm not exactly happy to wake up in prison either. But he snapped out on the COs and he refused to cuff up. And one thing led to another, and he's in segregation now. So, I was talking to a cellie about that, and there was another guy there. And we had like a really great conversation about how the root word for emotions is motion. Motion means to move. That's what your emotions do. Your emotions move you. But you have to control your emotions, because if you do not learn to control your emotions, if you do not teach yourself to control your emotions will always control you. And that's one of the key things we have to teach people nowadays: how to think for themselves and how to control their emotions.
You have 1 minute remaining.
And I'm living proof that it can be done. Because just because a stupid thought pops in my head doesn't mean I'm going to do it. As a matter of fact, I take great pride and satisfaction in throwing those thoughts down. I am determined to be the best human being I can be. I'm determined to be the best member of society that I can be. Whether I ever get out of prison or not is irrelevant to my personal growth and development. I will be the man I choose to be. And there's nothing on this planet that's going to stop me from doing that. Well, this has been Red Onion Randy. I hope you enjoy listening to me. For those of you who listen to me on Apple Podcasts, I would truly appreciate it if you'd be willing to take the time to review me and rate me, preferably 5 stars, but I'll take whatever you can give me. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you for using GTL.